Hello! In this video, we're going to answer the question, what is traditional media? In order to develop media literacy, we need to recognize the types of media that are around us. We're going to talk about the different types of traditional media, the differences among them, how much it costs to make traditional media messages, and how that cost is often paid with advertising. We use the word traditional to talk about things that have been around for a long time. So traditional media is the types of media that have been used since before the internet and mobile phone technology were developed. In other words, traditional media includes television, radio, print such as newspapers or magazines, mail, and outdoor messages. There are many differences among the types of traditional media, including speed of information, amount of information, and audience. First, the speed of information, how fast each type of media can get information to people. Television and radio can talk about events right as they happen, while newspapers and magazines are slower because they have to be printed and then moved to different places, such as a newsstand or the mailbox of a home, before people can read them. Another difference is the amount of information that can be given in these different types of traditional media. For example, outdoor messages such as billboards or advertisements on buses can contain only a small amount of information. Newspapers and magazines, on the other hand, can give readers a lot of detailed information. It's also important to think about the audience, or who uses these different types of traditional media, and what their reasons might be. Some people, for instance, might be more likely to use magazines or television, and they may want to learn about entertainment, sports, or fashion. While other people might be more likely to use newspapers or radio if they are more interested in learning about the news. One thing that all the forms of traditional media have in common is the cost. Traditional media messages are very expensive and complicated to create. If you want to create a media message for television, for instance, you need to work with a lot of special equipment and people with technical skills. Even something simple like an advertisement on a taxi must be created and printed by professionals. Typically, only powerful companies or governments have the necessary money and employees to make effective traditional media messages. That's why advertising is such an important part of traditional media. Remember, advertising is the messages that are created about products for sale. Many of the messages we see in traditional media are advertising messages. Think about television commercials that show medicine or food products you can buy, or colorful pictures in the newspaper that show clothing you can buy. And even other traditional media messages, such as news or entertainment programs, will often feature advertising before or during the programs. That's because the cost to produce these programs was paid for by advertising companies. It's important to understand that many of the messages we see in traditional media, both advertising and other programs, are paid for by advertising companies. Why is this important? Remember, thinking about who produces media messages and why they produce them is absolutely necessary to develop media literacy. For example, if my favorite television program is being paid for by advertising companies, how does that change or control the things I see in that program? Later in the course, we will talk more about advertising. For now, when you watch a television program or see a billboard outside, think about how much it costs to make this traditional media message. Think about the company or government that produced the message. And ask yourself why they wanted you to see this message. So to summarize, Traditional media is all the forms of mass media that have been around since before digital technology became popular. Traditional media includes television, radio, print such as newspapers or magazines, mail, and outdoor messages. Next, we're going to discuss social media.